My name's Matthew McKinley. I'm with LDS Public Affairs, and I'm here with Scott Barrick, the
General Manager of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Let's talk a little bit more about what kinds of roles you've had in your life before working with the choir that kind of prepared you.
Before I came to work for the choir, I had a number of different operations roles. Primarily my background has been in marketing and public relations. I have an MBA from Harvard, and I worked at Procter & Gamble in their brand management on Zest and Mr. Clean. I think I have some of those on my shelves or something. Then I worked for the parent company of M&M Mars in their pet food division, all doing kind of product management marketing roles. And then I worked for a decade at a large savings and loan in Southern California called Great Western Bank, where I handled product management, mergers and acquisitions. My training is basically in all that kind of consumer packaged goods marketing. So when I came to the choir, I had a background in public relations, product development, identifying how to satisfy customers' needs at a profit to the company. Now, of course, here at the church, profit is defined in different ways, right? We try to maximize our contribution to the goals of the church. So that's basically my background prior to coming to the church.
So you went from helping sell pet food to managing a choir that is known for its music. Those are two kind of different, like, stark contrasts. What kind of things do you see that are similar between those, and what kinds of differences?
So the commonality between all of this is trying to match the needs of the end user. So in the case of the choir, the listeners, and to match it so that we're giving them what they need when they need it at a time and a place where they're ready to consume it. So this is music for bar soap or pet food. It was the same kinds of things. You still have to deal with the same needs and how to fulfill them, how to get the organization to design around it so that it can be ready to provide the services. So for the choir, we have a lot of varying digital products these days that help with the delivery. So we do our recordings, we do our concerts, we do TV specials, TV broadcasts, and then in this day and age, we do a lot of digital work as well. So with our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, our YouTube channel, all those are various vehicles that are enabling us to deliver the message and music of the choir to consumers. You know, when people find out I work for the choir, they always say, "Oh, do you get to go on tour with the choir?" And I say, "Well, yeah, I do get to go on tour, but it's not a vacation, it's work." What may surprise people is that, when we're on tour, we're literally on almost the whole time. We don't sleep very much. It's 16, 18-hour days. You spend a lot of time on the bus, traveling back and forth. There's kind of the unglamorous sides of touring, which is just getting everybody from A to B, making sure that everyone's fed, and you're constantly on the phone. It's just a lot of coordination. Was on one tour, got up in the morning, opened my laptop, started replying to emails. I had 185. I answered emails all day until I had to get ready to go to another function, and I still had over 100 emails. So it was just this kind of continual process. So it's how much coordination it really takes to make it work. You think, well, it's just 300 people and 65 members of the orchestra, and doesn't everybody just kind of get on the bus and show up and make it happen? And it's a ton of work. It takes us a lot of time and effort to coordinate to make it all come together. But it's completely worth it, and we wouldn't trade the opportunity, but it's a lot of work. So my responsibilities are to contract with the venues once they've been identified, to make sure that we have all the legal contractual obligations pinned down. I am also responsible for helping the venues to sell tickets. Then we do VIP receptions at each location, which enables us to fulfill part of our public relations responsibilities for the church, and enabling people to meet the choir in a different way and engage with them in a different way at that point. And then we do all the media that's associated with the tour. So when we take the choir on tour, it's a big event. I mean, we have 600 people that we're moving around from venue to venue, and we want to be able to take full advantage of that from a public relations standpoint, from media reporting stories, and from our own digital media opportunities to post what's happening with the choir and where they are on tour today and those kinds of things. we have a promotional video that we do for tour each year. We customize them to the city and we post them on YouTube. We enable the venues to post them. So there's a variety of kind of marketing elements that we do. Then as we get closer to tour, there's a lot of in-market kinds of things that we do. We try to identify all the choirs in a local area, and because many of them will hold up the Mormon Tabernacle Choir as kind of the gold standard of what it means to be a member of the choir, to participate in a choir. And choral singing is, a pastime in America. So many students are members of choirs. People are members of community choirs. So that's a fertile area of people that might want to come and participate in those kind of things. We do some promotions really close to tour where we give people opportunities to come and sing with the choir during rehearsal. Sometimes we'll let a radio station conduct a contest to identify someone who can come, and we actually put them in the middle of the choir during the final rehearsals at the venue. And so that's our little Sing with the Choir promotion, and it's kind of a fun thing to do. And so all of those things are ways that we get interest up, and we're also now with digital media, we can target through Facebook and Twitter, do targeted advertising to certain groups to be able to help fill these houses. And it's all with the objective of enabling the choir to get its message of peace and joy out to as many people as possible during the performances. There's a certain electricity that happens when you have a full house of people rather than kind of a half a house. So there's the choir and the orchestra perform better. It's just this kind of greater electricity when you have a full house. So that's always our objective, is no empty seats. Our management representative says that he can do a tour any place in the United States that we want. He's got people knocking on his door to do the choir. And we are successful at what we do because of the things that we've learned over the years. I'll tell you an experience I had many years ago. It's been a decade ago when the choir was performing in Las Vegas at one of the venues there, and I called up the guy and I said, "Hi, my name's Scott. I'm going to help you sell the tickets." And there was really like no answer. And I said, "Hello?" And he said, "You'll have to forgive me. I've been in this business for 25 years. No one's ever offered to help me sell the tickets before." So, the fact that we are engaged as a performing organization in trying to make sure that we have full houses is, it speaks well of us and enables us to be able to come back and to have people interested in having the choir perform. The mission of the choir and the orchestra is to be an ambassador for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So a lot of what we do when we're on tour is reaching out to build relationships of trust with people that perhaps don't know the choir as well, people who can help the choir and the church with some of their objectives. Of course, we are very interested in the work that the church is doing today in terms of religious freedom and reaching out and working together with our members of other faiths. And so we invite ministers and rabbis and Catholic priests and other leaders to be with us and come to this kind of event. It's a beautiful opportunity because the music of the choir has religious moments, but it's not solely religious. It lifts and inspires, it moves us in different ways, and so it's in a language that communicates, that can touch a lot of people depending on a variety of backgrounds. So we can get those people, and generally we try to have people from arts organizations, civic leaders, community leaders, elected representatives, those kinds of people come to the VIP receptions. When we travel, we always travel with a general authority of the church, and he will speak at that reception and welcome everyone to the concert of the VIPs that are attending. And so it's a really very nice moment just prior to the choir concerts at each venue. I think it's particularly interesting to watch people in their just as you're sitting in the audience. Usually at each venue I will go out and once the VIP receptions are done, I'll go out and take a seat in the audience and just kind of watch the people around us. You can get a sense of how people are engaging with the choir, that the music of the choir will literally move them in many times. You will see people that will just have tears streaming down their cheeks. And it's amazing to see people being moved by the music. It's different than even in our weekly broadcasts. We see people come to Salt Lake and come to the Tabernacle, and it's a goal of theirs to see the choir and to hear them in a broadcast. But when they're on tour, there's a different magic about being in those venues with a different type of music. The choir performs a real broad breadth of repertoire, from classical music to popular music, Broadway, African American spirituals, to our standards of Come Come Ye Saints and Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing and Always Battle Hymn of the Republic. So those are really particularly moving moments. Sometimes we have opportunities on tour that we never planned for and that just happen. When we were on tour in the Midwest a couple years ago, the choir was in between. We were having dinner and kind of just filtering out before they had to get on the buses to go to the concert. And a family brought a young girl who was in town, I think it was St. Louis if I'm not mistaken, who was there for cancer treatments. And she was having a battle with these cancer treatments. She was not well enough to be able to come to the concerts, but her parents brought her to this big hotel lobby, and it was one that kind of had varying layers, and so there were a couple of stories, and choir members and orchestra members too were just all around, and we ended up singing some impromptu songs, a couple of children's songs that the choir members knew by heart, and somebody had a video camera, and it was really a very moving experience that we never planned. It wasn't on our itineraries. We didn't do it, but this life was touched, and it was a meaningful blessing of being on tour. And there's always just nothing quite like standing at the back of the hall after the final encore and just knowing that concert was a big success, and watching the choir and orchestra file off stage, and hearing people say, what a wonderful thing it was. And
what to you is the biggest factor when it comes to these tours that you measure success by?
Well, there are a number of ways that you can measure success. One is just, did you make it at the end of the day and no one died and everyone was happy? But I think that the measurable success for us is, did we have a good concert experience? Could you feel that electricity that comes when you're matching performers with an audience of people that really want to be there? How did we do in terms of some of the more analytical kind of things? I love numbers. We look at how our social media statistics spike during tour. We can look at the number of newspaper articles, the good interviews that we had, the success of our guest conductors, and the feelings that generated. And then, just the feeling of satisfaction of knowing that all of this work that spans, usually a period of 2 years has come together, that people enjoyed themselves, and that the work of the Lord through the choir has gone forward.